What a weekend we had. Severe weather that tore through Indiana on Sunday. Now this tornado that you see behind us shredded through an apartment complex that was under construction in Greenwood, Indiana. Now officials in Martin County, Indiana said one person was killed and another is in the hospital after a tornado struck their home.
AccuWeather meteorologists warn that violent weather could sweep through the East Coast today and tomorrow. There is a high risk today for severe storms for North Carolina all the way to New Jersey. That risk includes Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and Philadelphia. So let's get into the severe weather right now with a live look at Washington, D.C., courtesy of EarthCam. Bernie, it's going to be a busy day.
Yeah, and you know what? That's why you can never trust these upper level lows. What a busy day we had yesterday. I want to quickly begin with the storm report. Look at the storm reports with this upper low yesterday. In fact, we're dealing with severe weather this morning, still with this upper low across southern parts of Arkansas, but a lot of wind and hail reports. We did have 4 reports of tornadoes in central Indiana near the Indianapolis area. You could see some of the damage that occurred in Greenwood, Indiana with that tornado. Obviously, with all of the storms we had yesterday, lots of power outages spanning from Michigan all the way down into the central Gulf Coast states. Over 120,000 homes and businesses without power in Tennessee. All right, we have a ton of warmth and a ton of humidity along the eastern seaboard today. Look at our high temperatures in the 80s from New York City all the way down in toward Atlanta, and our dew point temperatures sky high, anywhere from the lower to upper 60s to around 70 degrees in Washington, D.C. Look at that dew point in New York City, 68 degrees right now. It is warm, it is humid, and now we have this, our upper level low. We talked about this over the weekend. These upper lows always produce mischief and mayhem. And while it's not a strong upper level low, it's got a lot of warmth and a lot of humidity that it is working with. We're going to get the heating, and as this upper low comes east, these thunderstorms are really going to fire as we go through the afternoon hours. Now, we'll have some thunderstorms even late this morning around New York City and Philadelphia, but the severe weather, here it comes. Early to mid-afternoon, look at those thunderstorms get going right along I-81 in Virginia down into North Carolina. Clusters of thunderstorms in New York State. I don't think they're severe, but there will be some gusty winds and some hard downpours, but it's this line that gets going. There it is late in the afternoon. There we are at 8 o'clock, northeastern Pennsylvania down into the Carolinas toward Virginia Beach, and then everything pushes to the east and north as we go through the rest of today. You'll note that high risk that we have in the forecast from about Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. toward the Raleigh area, large area of a moderate risk. What are we worried about? Damaging winds and hail. But because we have the upper low, Christina, just like yesterday, we didn't have a lot of tornadoes, but all it takes is a few to cause some problems, and that's what we're worried about today.
Yeah, that's something we're going to be watching very closely today. But you know what, Bernie, even into tomorrow, there is still that severe weather potential. So let's get into your Tuesday forecast now through the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. Here's the big picture. It's that upper low Bernie just mentioned, right? That big feature, that big storm that's driving the weather even as we get to the second day of this work week, and we could still see more in the way of severe weather. It's a lot different than what we're looking at today, but severe weather is severe weather, and you have to stay weather aware. You can see the area in yellow stretching right down the 95 corridor from New York to Baltimore, all the way down to Virginia Beach, and even all the way to Savannah, Georgia, looking at the Georgia coastline and the Carolina coastline as well. What are we watching for on Tuesday and Tuesday evening? Well, once again, it's the damaging gusty winds and the large hail. Flash flooding could also be a concern, considering we're going to see rain falling heavily over the same areas for a few days here after an already wet week in this part of the country. Let's go through future radar together, and you'll notice as we get into the afternoon, this is just about noontime, looking even central Pennsylvania, you see some storms starting to fire up, a few more out toward the Wyoming Valley, out towards Scranton and Wilkes-Barre. Those storms not necessarily severe, but not a comfortable day to say the least. Now the storms really get going 2, 3, 4 o'clock. Here's that line. You'll see some damaging gusty winds within the line. Again, it's a little more isolated than what we're looking at today, but even looking at this area, 5:30 p.m., look how that's bowing right across Philly, right across New York, and just past Washington, D.C. To me, that says, hey, we could have some issues with wind throughout the evening. Storms really die down overnight. It's a much different story as you're waking up on Wednesday, but Wednesday afternoon, this same system producing more in the way of storms.